Hello Year 4, welcome back to another English lesson with Miss Borhan. I hope you all had a lovely day yesterday and you participated in some sports day activities and you raised some money to go towards our school. So let's get started now. Can you please write down the long date, Wednesday, 8th of July 2020, and the LI to identify the features of a diary. Well done everyone. Okay, so I have a few questions and I want you to listen closely. What do you think a diary is? Why do people write diaries? And are diaries real or fictitious pieces of writing? So is it a piece of fiction writing or is it real? You can pause this section, have a think, and you can discuss this with an adult or a sibling. Excellent. Now, I want you to write down some of the ideas so that you can take a picture and show me. So do you have a diary? And if you do, think about how you're writing in it and some of the features. Excellent. So we're going to be looking at an extract taken from the diary of Anne Frank in 1942. Who remembers who Anne Frank was? Well done. So as discussed in our previous lessons, she is a refugee and she lived in Germany, but because Jewish people were being persecuted and they weren't being treated well, she had to move with her family to another country, so they moved to Holland. So who remembers what refugees are? Pause and think about the definition. Refugees are people who flee their home countries and to move to another country for several reasons, such as war or natural disasters. And when she moved to Holland, she lived in Amsterdam. So Amsterdam is the capital city of Holland, and she was hiding there with her family. However, her family were discovered, arrested, and transported to Auschwitz on August 4th, 1944, the day where the concentration camps where she was eventually killed. So she was hiding because she was Jewish, and during that time, Nazi Germany, Hitler, he didn't like Jewish people and he was killing them. So that's a bit of background information on Anne Frank. And during her time in hiding, Anne Frank, she wrote a diary. So we're going to be reading together an extract from her diary. So I want you to read along with me to develop the fluency of your reading skills. August 21st, 1942. Now our secret annex has truly become secret because so many houses are being searched for hidden bicycles. Mr. Kugler thought it would be better to have a bookcase built in front of the entrance to our hiding place. It swings on its hinges and opens like a door. Mr. Voskugel did the carpentry work. Mr. Voskugel has been told that the 7 of us are in hiding, and he's been most helpful. Now, whenever we want to go downstairs, we have to duck and then jump. After the first 3 days, we were all walking around with bumps on our foreheads from banging our heads against the low doorway. Then Peter cushioned it by nailing a towel stuffed with wood shavings to the doorframe. Let's see if it helps. Now, I want you to think about what do you think the purpose of this diary entry is. Pause and have a think. So this diary entry is providing a glimpse into her world. So in this writing, she's writing about what she went through and the events that she went through. Now, of course, she didn't know that this diary would be published for the whole world to see. Usually diaries are very personal to a person. It's kind of like a secret. You don't want people to read your personal thoughts or feelings. But Anne Frank's dad, he was the only one that survived from her family. And after a long thought, he thought it would be best to publish her work and her diary so that everyone could see a glimpse into her world and to see what they went through. So usually when we're studying humanities and in our history, so when we're studying history, diaries are known as primary resources because there's so many diaries written from people that lived so many years ago, even some famous people as well. So when we read their diary, it provides a glimpse into how the people during that time lived. So it gives us historical facts and it's useful for researchers as well. So Anne Frank's diary is very useful because we get to see how life was like for Jewish people, and we get to see how the war was affecting others. So it's a part of history, really, her diary. Okay, so now I'm just going to scroll down, and over here it's some pages from her diary. So this is her handwriting, it's real. So of course when it was published into a book, it's been printed out now, but this is the original copy over here. So you can take a close look at her diary and the pages. So well done everyone. Now we're going to go through some more diary excerpts. Over here is an excerpt from the book The Diary of a Wimpy Kid. I'm sure you may have actually heard of this book, or you may not have, but I'm sure most of you have heard of the films for the series. So you can pause this section and take a close look at this section as well. Excellent. Now let's go through some features of a diary entry. So we have the date, so it shows which day the diary entry is about. It's written in the first person, so the writer is writing about himself or themselves. It's written in past tense, so the writer writes about what has happened in the past, because we're retelling events, and when we retell events, it happens in the past. The only time it will be in the future is if in the diary it says, oh, I can't wait for this to happen, or I will go to the park tomorrow. But otherwise, it's all written in past tense, and there's a personal tone in the diary. You can almost hear the writer speaking, because that's how personal it is. And there's a lot of self-reflection, and that means the writer writes about their feelings, their thoughts, their hopes, and their fears. Diary could have some rhetorical questions, so the writer asks questions about what is happening, and these type of questions, they don't really require any responses. There's short sentences to emphasize the writer's words. There's exclamation mark can be used to emphasize the writer's words, and paragraphs used when a new time, place, person, or topic is written about. Also, colloquial language is often used. So colloquial language is informal. So if you don't know what informal language is, we had a lesson on informal language. You can find it and go through it. It's a language of everyday conversation, and it is used to make it easy for readers to relate to the text. So an example of colloquial language is, hey, what's up? You want to go to the park later? So wanna is colloquial, informal. If you were to write it informal, it would be want to. Now remember, colloquial language, it still makes sense if you're using it in an informal tone and in that context. So it's not just made up words or anything. It still has to make sense. And time connectives are used in diary entries. So meanwhile, first, last, next, then, finally, eventually, this evening, last week, after a while, soon, afterwards, meanwhile. Can you think of any other time connectives? You can pause this section and write it down. So we're going to go back to Anne Frank's diary excerpt and see if you can spot any of the features that we just mentioned. So you can pause this section. Excellent. So over here, August 21st, 1942. That's the date. What else do you notice? Now, remember, it doesn't have to have every single feature, but a diary entry usually has most of the features that we just discussed. Now, let's see, we can find an exclamation mark right at the end. Let's see if it helps. Can you find any time connectives? So we had one after the first 3 days. Now, then, to after the first 3 days. That was all time connectives. Let's see what other features there were. It's in past tense. Let's see, how do we know this is written in past tense? Pause this section and take a close look. So when it says Mr. Kugler thought, it doesn't say he thinks he thought. If you can notice any other words that suggest this is past tense, you can write it down in your exercise books. Well done. So now over here in the diary of a wimpy kid, there's a lot of colloquial language over here. So let's see if you can notice it. Firstly, what other features can you see? You can see paragraphs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now write down any colloquial language that you can find. So when it says, so the furnace is on full blast all day. Or when is it? What else? Or when there's words written in capital letters, winter, cafeteria, big, huge. This is really emphasizing something. Excellent. So over here, can you, in the diary entry, spot any thoughts or feelings of the person writing the diary? So when, in this paragraph, and she chose Dennis Traxon, which isn't fair. So this is the thought and feeling of the person writing the diary. Can you spot anything else? And the last few days haven't been that great. Haven't been that great. When it says, I'm a huge pizza fan, it's showing that they really love pizza. So I want you to take another look at these features. And now let's read through this together and see if we can spot any of them. Friday, May the 5th. We finally got one. My mum has been trying to persuade my dad for ages to get a dog, and he has always thought of 100 reasons why we shouldn't get one. I think my mum had almost given up. Well, today, after we had all got home and were having a snack, there was a knock at the door. I opened it and there was a big box on the doorstep. I was a bit worried at first because there was no one there but Mum and Dad came towards the door, and Dad was at the back telling me to open it. So then I opened the box, and there inside, looking quite confused and shy, was a gorgeous black puppy with a red bow around her neck. I picked her up and brought her into the house. Our house is quite small and not really set up for dogs. There are lots of ornaments everywhere. She scurried around our living room, knocking a few things over, and then we gave her some food. I felt so happy because I haven't got any brothers and sisters, and I have wanted to get a dog for a long time. We decided to call her Surprise. Well then, if you read along with me, now I want you to pause this section and write down any features that you just spotted. So let's see. How do we know that this text is written in first person? What pronouns are used? We use I. So it says, I think my mum. Let's choose red color. Color red. Okay, so it says, I think my mum had almost given up. That's one. I was a bit worried. I opened the box. I picked her up. Now, what words indicate that this is written in past tense? Pause and take a close look. So it says, he has always thought. It's written in past tense. My mum had almost given up. Let's see, I opened. It doesn't say I open or I will open or I'm opening. Because that's present tense, it's talking about the past. I was a bit worried. This is in past tense. What else is worried? It's also showing the thoughts and feelings of the person writing the diary. So if we just go back, so it's known as self-reflection when the writer writes about the feelings, thoughts, hopes and fears. Or I felt so happy. So this is directly telling us how the writer is feeling. So we're not inferring over here. Excellent. What else do you notice? We have some exclamation marks. We finally got one exclamation mark. Let's just underline that. And over here, with a gorgeous black puppy with a red bow around her neck. There's another exclamation mark over here. So gorgeous black puppy, what is this? It's an adjective, gorgeous black puppy. So it's an expanded noun phrase because there's more than one adjective. Well done if you figured that out. So have you noticed anything else? Today, time connective. Well done everyone. Oh, and I just spotted another exclamation mark. So I hope you're all going through this with me and writing these down. And we decided. Not we will decide, or not is we decided. It's in past tense. And this is also written in a personal tone because the way it's written, we can almost hear the writer speaking. It's kind of like a friendly tone because, of course, when you're writing your diary entry, you know yourself best. That's why there's that personal tone and that personal touch to your diary. And that's why sometimes you can add colloquial language because we don't always speak formally when we're talking to our friends or when we're thinking as well. Sometimes we think using colloquial language. Excellent work, everyone. And the main thing, I hope you all wrote this down because I was about to forget. We have the date. Okay, now for your task, there's a 1-star activity. You read through this text, Dear Diary, comma. You read through it and then you have to label the features of a diary. So whichever features are present, such as the date, time connectives, I can already see some here, personal pronouns. So how do you know? It's written in the first person? You have to underline or label personal pronouns. And as I said, time connectives, the paragraphs, how do you know there's a personal tone to it? And what are the thoughts and feelings of this person? And this person is called Hernandez. Now, this is a rainforest diary, and in humanities, as we're learning about the rainforest, I thought I'd choose this diary extract. So it's talking about Hernandez, who's in the rainforest, and what he discovered and what he saw that day, and how he's feeling. So take a good close look and read it. And how do you know it's written in the past tense? Underline the words that are written in the past tense. That's your 1-star activity. Now this is your 2-star activity. You have a similar text that's just a bit longer, and you have to read it out and once again label it. Remember to label the date as well. And the 3rd-star activity, it's a much longer text. You have to read it now. You know yourself best and see what you're most confident in doing, which task. Now, if you know you can do the 3-star task, I don't want you to do the 1-star task because you have to challenge yourself. So this is going to be uploaded on the Year 4 online learning platform so that you can take a close look and it's more clear. And it's going to be big as well. So this is just a screenshot of how it'll look like. And once you're done labeling it, you can email your work over to Year 4 at grange.harrow.sch.uk. Well done everyone, and see you tomorrow in our next lesson.